Number 1. Listen to a school secretary making an announcement in school.
Attention students, we have been contacted by the police. They want us to tell you about some safety procedures. Since it is getting dark earlier these days, many students who participate in extracurricular activities are walking home in the dark. So, local police are recommending that you wear some light-colored clothes if you are walking home late. This will help drivers to see you when you are crossing a street.
What is the purpose of the announcement? Number 2. Listen to a teacher talking to a class.
Some of you may have noticed that road workers have just finished making a brand new bicycle lane outside the school. There are now bicycle lanes throughout much of the city. Our city officials are encouraging people to ride bicycles instead of driving cars. This will help to reduce pollution. Please think about this if your parents drive you to school in the morning.
What does the teacher imply about students whose parents drive them to school? Number 3. Listen to a principal making an announcement in school.
Our caretaker, Mr. Jarvis, has just informed me that we have a mouse problem in the school. Don't be alarmed, there is no danger. However, Mr. Jarvis has asked that students do not put any food garbage in classroom trash cans. This will only attract more mice. If you have to throw away food, please use the garbage cans in the cafeteria and make sure the lids are sealed properly after you use them. Thank you.
What is the principal mainly talking about? Number 4. Listen to a teacher talking in a science class.
Beginning next month, we will be collecting cans and other metal objects for a famous local artist, Bud Bryce. Mr. Bryce will be using the metal trash to make a sculpture. After the sculpture is made, we will sell it to raise money for Greenpeace. The idea behind Mr. Bryce's art is making something beautiful from something ugly, and at the same time, we can help clean up our environment.
Why is the teacher talking about metal trash? Number 5. Listen to a school secretary making an announcement in school.
Could I have your attention, please? In order to be more environmentally friendly, we have decided that the school will no longer provide paper cups in the cafeteria. That means students who wish to use the water coolers in the cafeteria must bring their own reusable cups from home. Our new motto is Recycle, Reuse. There will probably be further changes in the near future. Thank you.
What is the purpose of this announcement? Number 6. Listen to a principal making an announcement in school.
Our school nurse, Ms. Park, has just informed me that one of our students has come down with chickenpox. Because chickenpox is highly contagious, Ms. Park will be checking all students for symptoms as a precautionary measure. So, we will begin calling classes down to the nurse's office this morning. When your class is called, please go with your teacher directly to office. After you've been checked out, you may return to your classroom. Thank you.
What is the purpose of the announcement? Number 7. Listen to a teacher talking in a biology class.
We will be taking a field trip to an organic farm next month to learn how to grow organic food. At the farm, each one of you will be given your own small plot to grow some organic vegetables. We will be returning every month to see how it is going. You'll even be able to take your vegetables home and eat them at the end of the year. I know it's going to be a lot of fun.
What is the teacher mainly talking about? Number 8. Listen to a teacher talking in an art class.
For our next art project, we are going to make shopping bags from scrap materials that you'll bring from home. So your assignment tonight is to find some materials for your bag. The point of this project is, of course, to make a beautiful work of art. But I also want you to ask your parents to use your bag every time they go shopping. This will help to save the environment.
What will the students probably do tonight? Go on to the next page. Now you will hear some conversations. Each conversation is followed by 3 or more questions. Choose the best answer to each question and mark the letter of the correct answer on your answer sheet. You will hear each conversation only one time. Questions 9 through 12. Listen to a conversation between a student and her teacher.
Sarah, did you hear about the student tutoring project?
I just heard a little about it from Derek in my social studies class.
Well, let me explain. The project involves going across the road to the elementary school for an hour every week and tutoring some students who are having difficulties in their classes. I think it might be something you'd enjoy.
That sounds okay, but why don't their teachers help them? I mean, isn't that what they get paid for?
Well, there are a lot of students at the school, and teachers don't really have the opportunity to give them much individual attention. And it's a good chance for students to give something back to the community.
That sounds pretty good. Do the tutors get paid?
No, it's strictly on a volunteer basis. But there are other benefits. You see, this program is the school board's idea, and if we help the school board out, then they will be a lot more likely to help us out.
What do you mean, help us out?
Well, I'm sure you know that our school has been asking for a new wing for the library for some time. Well, the school board would be more likely to give it some serious consideration if we show strong support for their program.
I see. You say it's only an hour a week?
That's right. I'm going to the main office right now. Why don't you come with me and put your name on the list?
Now answer the questions. Number 9. Why does the girl mention her social studies class? Number 10. Why can the teachers at the elementary school not help students who are having difficulties? Number 11. According to the teacher, what is a possible benefit of doing the project? Number 12. What will the girl probably do next? Questions 13 through 16. Listen to a conversation between two friends.
I'm really excited about the soccer players coming to school. I've never met any professional soccer players before. How long have you supported William United?
I've been watching them for about 3 years, I guess. My friend Martin first got me interested in them. and I just couldn't stop going after that. We go to most of the home games and some away games too.
Wow, I thought I was a real fan after going to just a couple of home games.
Yeah, sports can be kind of addictive sometimes, can't they? So, when Bobby Finn and Stephen Cash arrive, what are you going to ask them? I've written my questions down so that I don't forget them.
Well, I haven't written mine down, but I thought I'd ask Bobby if he had any other dreams when he was growing up. And I was going to ask Stephen what his favorite sporting moment was.
Those are good questions. Mine seem a bit silly now.
Why? What have you written down?
Things like favorite foods, favorite drinks, what they like to watch on TV, and hobbies. Stuff like that.
Those are okay, but why don't you make them more specific? Like, which kind of food do you prefer? Italian or Indian?
Yeah, I think you're right. Mine are more like topics than questions.
Hey, they're coming!
Now answer the questions. Number 13. What are the speakers mainly discussing? Number 14. What can be inferred about the girl's friend, Martin? Number 15. What is the boy going to ask Bobby Finn? Number 16. Why does the girl think her questions seem a bit silly? Go on to the next page. Questions 17 through 20. Listen to a conversation between two friends.
Have you met the new science teacher, Dr. Wells? He's really funny.
Yes, I had my first class with him on Tuesday. He is funny. And super smart, too. He told us that he used to be an engineer, and he worked on the design and construction of the Concorde airplane.
Yeah, he's done lots of things like that. I think he was a famous scientist before he came here.
So why is he teaching us then? Hasn't he got better things to be doing with his time?
Well, he is quite old now, and he told us that he retired. But then he got a little bored, so he decided to do some part-time teaching.
I think we're really lucky to have such a good teacher.
Science has suddenly got a lot more interesting, that's for sure. Like today, he showed us how you can split light up into the colors of the rainbow using a prism.
A prism?
You know, a prism. It's triangular and transparent, so you can see through it.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean now.
Anyway, when he turned the lights off and shone a light through it, the light came out like a rainbow.
Wow, I'd like to see that myself.
Well, maybe he'll show you in the next class if you ask him.
Now answer the questions. Number 17. What are the students mostly talking about? Number 18. What did Dr. Wells do right before he came to teach at the school? Number 19. Why did Dr. Wells decide to do some part-time teaching? Number 20. Why does the boy discuss a prism experiment? Questions 21 through 25. Listen to a conversation between two friends.
So, what did you think of the field trip? What was the best thing you saw?
Oh, without a doubt, the reconstructed Iron Age village. It was so amazing. I really felt like I'd gone back in time. And it was really interesting to see how people used to live. It is so different than the world that we live in now.
Do you know that the site dates back to 600 BC?
Yes, our teacher told us. I also loved how they let us try out some stuff for ourselves, like weaving baskets. And the people wearing costumes and going about their daily village lives really made it seem real.
Yeah, the Iron Age village was really cool. But my personal favorite was the aquarium. I've never been to an aquarium before, and the sharks just blew my mind. They were so big and scary looking, just like in the movies. There were so many other weird and wonderful creatures, too. I never knew there were so many strange things living in the ocean.
To tell you the truth, I find aquariums kind of boring. I've been to quite a few, and they're all pretty much the same.
I hope not, because I'm going to another one next weekend. My whole family is going with me this time. You sure you don't want to come along?
No thanks. When you've seen one, you've seen them all.
Now answer the questions. Number 21. What is the main topic of the conversation? Number 22. What does the girl imply when she says,
They were so big and scary looking, just like in the movies?
Number 23. Why did the boy think the Iron Age village was amazing? Number 24. Why does the boy think aquariums are boring? Number 25. What will the girl probably do next weekend? Go on to the next page. Now you will hear some talks and discussions about academic topics. Each talk or discussion is followed by 4 or more questions. Choose the best answer to each question and mark the letter of the correct answer on your answer sheet. You will hear each talk or discussion only one time. Questions 26 through 29. Listen to a teacher talking in a social studies class.
We've been talking about tools and weapons that had a major impact on ancient, classical, and pre-modern cultures. One important weapon was the bow and arrow. The role of the bow and arrow changed throughout history, from hunting to warfare and finally to sport. Archaeologists have found evidence to suggest that bows and arrows were used for hunting as far back as 50,000 years ago. Experts also believe that bows and arrows did not originate in one place, but simultaneously in a number of different places. The hunting bow was important to these early cultures. You see, it allowed them to kill animals that they were not able to run down on foot. The hunting bow played a major role in almost every ancient culture of the world. In Europe, as the bow and arrow became a better weapon, it started to be used in warfare. Military leaders favored the bow and arrow because archers could kill the enemy without having to engage in hand-to-hand battle. By the 4th century AD, archers became an integral part of Roman armies. In the Middle Ages, English armies became famous for their longbows. As the name suggests, the longbow was long and thus powerful. Rows of archers with longbows were used to fire thousands of arrows high into the air at the advancing enemy. The bow and arrow was eventually replaced by the gun in warfare by about the 17th century. After that, archery became mainly a competitive sport. But archery was often used for sporting purposes even before the arrival of firearms. Watching archers show off their skills was common entertainment in many cultures. Archery competitions were common in England. In fact, watching them was one of Queen Elizabeth's favorite pastimes.
Now answer the questions. Number 26. What is the purpose of the talk? Number 27. Why does the speaker mention Queen Elizabeth? Number 28. Why was the hunting bow important to ancient cultures? Number 29. Why did military leaders in Europe favor the bow and arrow? Questions 30 through 33. Listen to a teacher talking in a U.S. history class.
Andrew Jackson was known as a tough and stubborn president. When he had an idea, he wouldn't change his mind, and he followed through with his ideas, even though some of his actions were considered unconstitutional by some. Most modern historians agree that the worst thing Jackson ever did was to force the Cherokee to leave their homes in Georgia. This relocation of the Cherokee became known as the Trail of Tears.
But didn't the Cherokee Indians help Jackson in the War of 1812? So why would he force them to leave their homes?
That's a good question. In the beginning, Jackson was on good terms with the Cherokee people. When he was a general in the U.S. Army during the War of 1812, he enlisted the help of the Cherokee to fight another group of Indians, the Creek Indians. Together, Jackson and the Cherokee defeated the Creek Indians. This made him a national hero, boosting his popularity and helping make him president later on. When Jackson became president, however, his relationship with the Cherokee dramatically changed. Gold was discovered on Cherokee land, and white gold miners wanted to move in. So Jackson made a law forcing the Cherokee to move. Instead of fighting Jackson, the Cherokee went to the Supreme Court. The judge ruled that the Cherokee were right and that Jackson's law was unconstitutional.
So the Cherokee had the legal right to stay.
Well, yes, but Jackson defied the Supreme Court ruling, and he used the military to force the Cherokee to leave anyway. They left their homes in the fall of 1838 for a reservation in West. More than 4,000 Cherokee died that winter while walking on the Trail of Tears.
That's really terrible. Didn't Jackson also destroy the National Bank?
Yes, that's right. In fact, I was just getting to that.
Now answer the questions. Number 30. What is the discussion mainly about? Number 31. Why does the teacher discuss the War of 1812? Number 32. Why did Jackson force the Cherokee to move? Number 33. What will the teacher probably talk about next? Go on to the next page. Questions 34 through 37. Listen to a teacher talking in an art class.
Before we take a look at the next work of art, let me explain a little about the materials and method used by the artist. This is a textile known as tapestry. Most of you are probably familiar with tapestry. The method for making tapestry has been used for a long time, since about 300 BC, and it has not changed a whole lot since that time. The artists weave threads together on a machine called a loom. Tapestries can be made using different kinds of threads, such as wool, linen, or cotton. The tapestry pictured in your textbook is made from wool. One reason for the popularity of tapestries in the past was the fact that they were easy to carry around. They could be rolled up and carried from one place to another without damaging them. This was not the case with paintings and sculptures. Moreover, tapestries were usually draped on the walls, which helped to keep people's homes warm in the winter. At the same time, tapestries provided beautiful decoration, so tapestries really had a dual purpose. Now let's look at the tapestry in our textbook. It is called The Hunt of the Unicorn, and it was made around the turn of the 16th century. It is one of a series of 7 tapestries, and it is thought to have come from the Netherlands. As you can see, a group of noblemen and hunters are chasing after a unicorn. Some people think that the unicorn is a symbol of Christ. So, the image on the tapestry could represent an attack on Christianity, or it could just be a depiction of the persecution of Jesus. But what is most impressive about this tapestry is the excellent condition it's in, despite being centuries old.
Now answer the questions. Number 34. What is the teacher mainly discussing? Number 35. Why does the teacher mention a loom? Number 36. According to the teacher, why were tapestries popular? Number 37. What is most impressive about the tapestry, The Hunt of the Unicorn? Go on to the next page. Questions 38 through 42. Listen to a teacher talking in a biology class.
Mammals, we know from our readings, share certain characteristics. They all have hair and teeth. They also have mammary glands and so can produce milk for their young. They also give birth to live young. Even whales and dolphins give birth to live young, which is why we can easily distinguish them from fish. There are a few unusual mammals, however, that do not share all of the characteristics of a mammal. Today we are going to talk about one of those rare animals, namely the duck-billed platypus.
Hold on. Platypuses are mammals? I thought they were birds because they have duck bills and webbed feet. And don't they lay eggs?
Yes, they do, and that is exactly why the Europeans were so confused when they first encountered the platypus brought from Australia around the turn of the 19th century. They couldn't believe such an odd animal really existed. Not only were the bird-like characteristics confusing to them, so were some of the platypus's other characteristics. Specifically, its feet were not underneath it like other mammals, but at its sides like reptiles. Also, its eggs resembled the eggs of reptiles rather than the eggs of birds.
So, it's like a reptile too?
Well, it may seem like a reptile or a bird, but we now know it's best classified as a mammal.
But I don't understand. The platypus has bird and reptile characteristics too. So why do we call it an unusual mammal when we could just as easily call it an unusual reptile or bird?
Well, no, we should call it a mammal because its primary characteristics, specifically the ability to produce milk from its mammary glands, are clearly those of a mammal. Its other characteristics, those of a bird or reptile, are secondary characteristics. That is, they are not as important.
Now answer the questions. Number 38. What is the main topic of the discussion? Number 40. What does the teacher imply about the first Europeans to encounter the duck-billed platypus? Number 41. What does the student mean when she says,
So why do we call it an unusual mammal when we could just as easily call it an unusual reptile or bird?
Number 42. According to the teacher, why should a duck-billed platypus be classified as a mammal? Stop. This is the end of the listening section.